Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. During the question and answer session, please press *1 on your touch-tone phone. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I will turn the meeting over to Jared Leo. You may begin.
Great. Thanks very much, and thanks everyone for joining us. This is the ACT webcast series. It's a monthly webcast held at the lunch hour. The trainings leverage local successes by amplifying to a larger audience two model organizations, methods, materials, and approaches. Sessions are planned to last no more than 1 hour with two presenters speaking on the same topic from slightly different perspectives, each for 10 to 15 minutes, followed by 10 to 15 minutes of questions and answers. This session is approved by the ISA for 1 CEU hour. If you haven't given me your certification number, you can email me after this session. Alternatively, most state landscape architecture boards require only a certificate of completion, which ACT is happy to provide for participants on your request. This is a program of the Alliance for Community Trees, and we encourage everyone to consider joining if you're not a member. We also want to thank our sponsors for today, the Home Depot Foundation and the USDA Forest Service. Today's session is Marketing and Communications, Part 4, Advertising and Promoting Tree Events. All nonprofits operate in a very competitive marketplace. Urban forestry groups face competition from other tree, park, and conservation causes, but there is far greater competition from other sources. The most staggering competition you face is from the nearly 1,500 advertising messages bombarding the average adult daily. Urban forestry groups face very specific challenges in getting public recognition. The use of jargon-heavy technical language, limited budgets, and the reality that less than 7% of all donated dollars are contributed to environmental causes. Marketing can be a blueprint for recruiting volunteers interested in the environment. It can increase media coverage for your tree planting events or let people know how urban forestry helps us every day. Today's first speaker is Jean DeBose. She serves as the Director of Development and Promotions for the Parks and People Foundation, a nonprofit organization in Baltimore, Maryland, that is dedicated to supporting a wide range of recreational and educational opportunities, creating and sustaining healthy and lively parks, and promoting a healthy natural environment for Baltimore. With the Parks and People Foundation, Ms. DeBose oversees the fundraising, promotions, and special event programs of the foundation, which currently operates 16 programs and initiatives with a $4 million annual budget. Prior to joining the Parks and People Foundation, Ms. DeBose worked in the nonprofit housing community in Baltimore, creating and promoting financial literacy education programs and organizing communities around issues relating to healthy communities. Ms. DeBose earned a BA degree in International Relations from Washington College, and we're happy to have you on the call.
Hi, thank you very much. Oh, okay, my first slide. Well, thanks for asking me to participate today in the webcast series. I'm very happy to be here to share a few things that I have discovered about trying to market an environmental organization, and specifically an organization that has part of its mission dedicated to increasing the tree canopy here in Baltimore. I'll move along to the first slide in just a second. When I was trying to think about things that would be helpful to share, I was also thinking about the perspective that Jared asked me to come from, which is a fundraising perspective, and dealing with an organization with limited resources and trying to figure out ways to save money and get the word out there as much as possible. The first slide, let's see. Okay. Whoops, went too far. Okay. The first slide there, can everyone, can you see that, Jared? Is that?
Yep, I can see it great.
Okay. The first idea that I wanted to share with you is pretty standard, and is to create templates for your work. I'm a big proponent of trying to do things one time and use them as much as possible. This is a way that we try and save money by creating things that are evergreen, things that are not dated, things that can be used for a variety of different kinds of publications and other things like flyers and mailings and things like that. So what we do every year is we think about a look that we have that stays within our branding and has a slogan that represents the work that we're doing. We've been using Growing Healthy Communities for a couple of years now, and we also like to include something about inviting people to join us. So that's what we did here. We had a member on staff. We do have a community arts organizer on staff, and he produces a lot of templates for me so that when I have an opportunity to buy an ad or am asked to place something in somebody's program or do a flyer or something like that, I have something that's ready to go. And this is an example of one that we use quite often when we are sponsoring events or running advertisements. A couple things about this format. It highlights the website, which is what we want people to do. It goes directly to the website. It's not bogged down with a lot of text. It has our logo, and it looks good in both black and white and color, which is good for print publications. Black and white's usually cheaper. And we also have a version that is vertical, as well as this horizontal version. We have another one here that is the same kind of thing. It's a template that we created in-house that we use for the same sorts of things, paid advertising, free advertising, sponsors, when we're sponsoring events, things like that. The looks are quite different, and we would use this one for probably things that are related to a lot of the schoolyard programs that we run. It has a more sort of family-friendly look to it. And we do a lot of events where children are a big part of what we're doing, planting trees or gardens or playgrounds. And so this would be something that we would use for that purpose. But again, I have them on file. I have them in multiple formats so that publications can print them easily. So when opportunities come along, I don't have to spend time or money creating something that could be an advertisement. We do ads for some special projects, and I have a couple of samples to share with you. We have a tree sale business as part of our social enterprises here at Parks and People, and this is an advertisement that was produced for our tree sale, which we do one in the spring and one in the fall each year. A couple things about this that I thought were good to share. One is that it was designed as part of an ad that we purchased. So the staff at the magazine that we were advertising in, which was a sort of quote-unquote lifestyle magazine, designed this ad for us as part of what we were paying for. So I didn't have to pay extra. I think it looks good. It looks very different from most of our other things, which we liked for this special project because the tree sale is a slightly different thing than the rest of our work. And so we wanted to have a slightly different look. We also wanted a look that would appeal to the readers of this particular magazine. We got a lot of positive feedback from it, and so now we have used it several more times. The magazine gave it to us, and so we use it, quite often when we're advertising in both the spring and the fall. Another thing that we do quite often, I don't know if you can see along the bottom right-hand corner, mine's cut off on my computer, but this is an example of collaborating with two other organizations. You can share expenses this way. For instance, in this advertisement, the tree sale ad is at the bottom. The Gwynn Falls Trail, which is a project of the Parks and People Foundation, they're selling books, so they're in the middle there. And then another organization, actually a for-profit cleaning company, paid for the top space there. So we took one ad, split it 3 ways, saved ourselves some money, and this was in a sort of target niche publication that is devoted to city living, and obviously we're a city organization, so we try and choose publications that where we pay for ads. We try and go for publications that are not so general like the daily newspaper. We look for monthly magazines. We look for things that are really going to target our constituents, which we see to be not just city residents, but people interested in sort of the future of the city, people interested in the green movement, gardeners, those types of things. Another thing that we do quite a lot, well, on a limited basis, is direct mail. For environmental reasons, we don't like to produce a lot of things to be mailed out. They're also expensive. But for targeted projects, we have found direct mail pieces that can be quite successful. Again, this is our tree sale card. It's about a 3 or 4 by 8 card, and it's heavy cardstock, recycled paper. And on the flip side of what you're seeing here is all of the order information that people can use to order trees from us. What we liked about this was it looked good. We did pay a designer to design this out of house. But once that design fee was paid for, we have reprinted it several times. It looked good, and because it was on a thicker paper, we were able to post it in different places. It stands out when it comes to people in the mail. People can stick it up on their refrigerator. It's a kind of a nice-looking piece. So I think if you're going to do direct mail and spend that kind of money, it makes sense to try and do something a little bit unusual so that you get the best bang for your buck. Next are just some different kinds of free and in-kind support. I'm a big believer in paying for advertising when you have the budget. So when you don't have the budget, you can go back to those publications and ask for in-kind support and trades and things like that. If you're seen as a customer and not a nonprofit, just asking always for a handout, but if you're viewed as a customer or a client, then you're much more likely to be able to get call in those kinds of favors when you actually really don't have the money and you need it. Another thing that we have done quite successfully is worked for us is public radio. Our local public radio station here in Baltimore has worked with us on quite a few things, so we get a good response. Locally produced programs, the advertising rates are usually quite affordable. And as long as you get your website up there in the ad that you're doing, that'll drive a lot of traffic to your website. You don't need to say a lot. You just need to get them to click on your website. I think I'm coming close to the end. I do have a couple more tips that I would say would be to exchange links with other like-minded organizations on their website. The other thing is to keep a pretty detailed calendar of publications. It's much easier to take advantage of reduced rates and to get things for in-kind if you approach publications well in advance. There are also several publications here in Baltimore, and I'm sure in other places, that will highlight nonprofit events and for free, but you have to approach them, 4, 5, 6 months in advance. So planning out a calendar at the beginning of the year so that you give yourself plenty of time as you approach these different publications is a great idea. I think that's about it. I think that's the last slide I have. I can't see the bottom of this slide, so I don't know if everyone else can see it, but that's about it. So, Jared?
Great. Yeah, and I should say, too, I should have given a disclaimer, it varies from computer to computer depending on the technology or the plugins people have installed. So I can tell you on my computer it's coming across perfectly.
Okay, good.
Full screen's available. So it will vary from computer to computer. Great. Thanks very much, Jean. Ashley, can you open the lines for questions, please?
Sure. We will now begin the question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press *1. Please unmute your phone and record your name clearly when prompted. Your name is required to introduce your question. To withdraw your request, press *2. 1 moment, please, for your first question.
And I also want to mention that if participants are welcome to either ask a question themselves, and if they're feeling too shy to, they're also welcome to ask a question online. There's a tab up top that says Q&A. If you type your question in there, I can come on and read it for you anonymously. So I'll start off with, I thought that the tip about being viewed as a customer rather than a nonprofit was fantastic. And I'm thinking in terms of other free advertising or other free ways to promote your events, and just in terms of how people deal with journalists. Do you have other tips, or I guess it could be broader than that too, but do you have other tips on how you maintain relationships and how you keep those people in your good graces?
Right. Yeah, we do try and keep very positive relationships with reporters that we know are interested in covering our types of activities. And a few things you can do that will increase the likelihood of getting coverage is give them as much information as possible in very short, concise way. Bullet points in an email. Faxing is just not happening anymore. Get a reporter's email, explain what you're doing. For instance, you're having a tree planting event with the community and a lot of school kids. You need to tell them, who's going to be there and what the value for the city is. And then other things that I like to include are, this will be a great opportunity for photographs. This would be something that would show well on television. Those types of things, so that they know if they send a photographer, they're going to get those pictures that they want. And offer to send them more information, basically give them all the background they need so that they can write a story really easily.
Okay. Do you have tips, too, for, I hear a lot of groups tell us that journalists often come back to them and say, it's just yet another tree event. Do you have tips on how to, I guess, spin that so that they don't think it's just another tree event?
Yeah, I would say that whenever we're doing something with kids, we highlight the kids. If it's something in a schoolyard, we talk about the school, we talk about the children, more so probably than the tree planting. And they'll cover that too. They'll get that in there. But children are definitely a way to try and get media interest and coverage. Some other things that we have tried to focus on is the watershed aspect of it. We here in Baltimore, we're on the Chesapeake Bay. People are tuning in to the health of the bay, and so we try and pitch a lot of what we are doing as activities designed to save the bay, to improve the quality of water. And then when they get there, it's about tree planting, but you do sort of try and find some different angles. Think about what people are talking about in your community, what is hot, sort of, so to speak. This past year, there was a lot more coverage of green events here in Baltimore. We have a sustainability commission, and they were doing lots of things. And so we included in a lot of our press releases and a lot of our things going out to media that this is part of the sustainability effort here in Baltimore.
Okay. And early in your presentation, you had mentioned that healthy communities was a very specific tagline. How did you come to that?
Well, because we, unlike some other organizations, do have a lot of different programs that are not specifically tree related. We run summer camps, we run sports leagues, we do lots of things that are sort of a little bit beyond just the tree planting and the water quality and things like that. So we needed something that could encompass all of our activities. And when we are promoting, children playing in recreational sports leagues, that's about being healthy. And so we try to make the environment healthier. We're working to help people actually get physically healthier. So it was a way for us to sort of say one thing that could be taken in several different ways, I guess.
Okay. Do you do any targeting of audiences, and I guess where you're tailoring the same publication in slightly different ways for who your audience is?
Yeah, I mean, the two templates I showed at the beginning. One is sort of with the black lines on the top and the bottom. That looks very different from the one that we use with children. And so I think about, the publications that I would be using one or of those templates in. Who am I trying to reach? Am I trying to reach families? Am I trying to reach someone that would really respond more to a picture of kids planting trees? Or am I trying to reach sort of a younger audience, maybe college-age students, maybe just out of college, people that do not have families yet but are really into city living and greening the city? And if so, I would use the first one.
And how did you all determine, which publication appeals to children and which publication appeals to families, et cetera?
Right. Well, for instance, the first one that is sort of urban, we ran that a few times in the Urban Night magazine, which is geared towards, city living. And then the child publication one, and actually we ran it one time in a magazine called Baltimore Child. So it was actually kind of, easy to decide. But, we don't have a huge selection of niche publications in Baltimore, but those that we do have, we just try and, pick the right one, I guess.
And I imagine that the media outlets must be able to tell you. I mean, they must know their audience pretty well. If you called up the right person, they'd be able to tell you who they're reaching, how many people. Right.
They have all their demographic information, which they give you when they're trying to sell you advertising.
Perfect.
And so, you're able to make that decision. And, when we do not do any advertising in the Baltimore Sun, which is the main daily newspaper. It's very expensive, and I don't think it's very effective for what we are trying to do. And so we've really looked to these smaller publications that are much more targeted. We do advertise in the Baltimore Business Journal, which is obviously it's a weekly paper geared towards businesses. We've done the tree sale ads there, and so the other publications we've done are the Daily Record, which again is geared more towards business people. Those are designed to get our name in front of our donors. So we're not asking those people to come out and plant trees by advertising there, but we want them to see our name. We want them to think of Parks and People when they're making their charitable contributions. So for that ad, we would use, actually I don't think I showed the one that we use in the business publications, but if I were going to choose, I would use the one with the kids.
And would you go so far as to say, if your development person is different than your marketing person, make sure they're in the same room when you're putting these together?
Absolutely. Marketing and development go hand in hand. You're always marketing when you're fundraising, and you're always fundraising when you're marketing.
Okay.
If you think of it that way.
Does the operator have any questions in queue?
I am showing no questions.
Okay. Well, we will move on to the next speaker, although if anyone does have a question for Jean, you're welcome to ask that at the end as well. So thanks very much, Jean.
Thanks.
Our second speaker today is Lori Kaufman. Lori is the Director of Communications at Tree People. She manages Tree People's media, publications, public relations, and website activities. She has over 10 years' experience working with nonprofit organizations in areas including community self-reliance, sustainable development, organic farming, homelessness, youth at risk, and children of incarcerated parents. Lori has taught tree planting and organic gardening to youth and senior citizens in California and Hawaii's Big Island. She has written for the Journal of the Society of Municipal Arborists, the Daily Breeze, Southern Sierran, Santa Monica Mirror, and Resurgence magazine. She is currently producing a series of videos about tree people and worked on the 1995 award-winning video, Hawaii in Transition, Vision for a Sustainable Future. We're thrilled to have Lori join us for the fourth in our four-part series here. And Lori, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jared. Hi, everyone. And here comes my PowerPoint. I'd just like to welcome everyone back. If you've been participating in all of these marketing webinars, give yourself a pat on the back. Hopefully you're learning something. I know I'm learning something from everyone who's been asking questions and the other presenters. So to get started, why don't you pull your eyes away from the screen and look at your desk and see what catches your eye. Are there any postcards or magazines, perhaps a newspaper that's open? What is it that catches your eye? Is it color? Is it a photo? Is it graphics? Is it text? My goal and our goal for these webinars is to have whatever tree piece of information you're sending out there, whether it's online, in a mailbox, or a flyer at an event, that your piece floats to the top. Your piece stands out on the desk. Your piece is the one, your bumper sticker, whatever it is, that you guys are the one that actually catch people's eye and get them to sign up and register for your events or to write checks or whatever it is that you want them to do. So you can put your eyes back on the screen, and let's take a look at the slideshow. And let's see, I'm going to press that arrow, and here we go. So to get started, first you want to figure out what it is you want to do. So whether you're doing a fundraiser or you're trying to get registration for a training or you're trying to do a tree sale, first you need to do your planning. So it's the 5 W's. Who is your audience? What do you want them to know or do? Why should they care? Where can they get more information? And when should they respond or take action? So all of these pieces will either show up in your ad or it'll be sort of an invisible support system for your ad. So these are all really important, especially when should they respond or take action. And you'll notice in some of the direct mail pieces you may be receiving or some of the electronic solicitations, several times in the piece there'll be a take action, respond by this date. Maybe there's a couple of buttons if it's online, because you really want to drive people to not click away from your site or put your direct mail piece or your flyer in a circular file. You actually want them to take action. So next up is, let's start with some goals. In general, you want to get people's attention. You want to create a memorable impression, and you want to communicate a message. Now, we know that people receive thousands of visual images every day, especially if you live in a big city like Los Angeles. There's electronic billboards. There's so many things that really call your attention away. So our goal is to put you guys at the front of the attention line. So you want to get attention with color, with graphics, perhaps with a great photo. You want to create a memorable impression so that when they keep seeing that image or that the word tree people, they know that you guys and that we are connected with a value that matches their own. And then, of course, you want to communicate a message. So here are some elements of design, because we are talking about how do you design ads, and then we'll show you some ads in just a moment. So this system, the craft system, if you will, comes from a wonderful designer. Her name is Robin Williams, and she wrote a book, actually a couple of books, a series called the Non-Designer's Design Book, and I'll have a URL at the end of this presentation. So Robin came up with crap, which I think is really funny, and you got to take this stuff. You just can't take it seriously. As our executive director likes to say, we're not doing brain surgery. Let's not take ourselves too seriously. And so that's why I like this crappy suggestion. So first you want to start with contrast. Again, we're thinking about an ad. So you want to have bold, you want to have some italics, contrast. You don't want to have all capital letters in your ad, because then it seems like you're shouting at people. And if you have too much contrast, then it'll all sort of look alike. So you want to use this sparingly. R is repetition. So you want to repeat your style, whatever that is. In Tree People, and for our brochures, we tend to like circles. So we'll put photos in circles, and then we'll repeat that style throughout the brochure. For your headers, you want to repeat that look and feel. You want to maybe have, for those of you who know typography, so that's like Arial as a font without those little feet, the serifs. So you want to use those for your headlines. And then when you're in the body of your ad or whatever it is you're designing, The best thing to use is a serif font, which is the little feet that sit underneath your letters, and you can learn more about that. The reason you want to do that is the I follows the line that's underneath, like the letter E. If you look at Times New Roman, there's this little feet that sit on the end of the letters. Probably getting a little bit too specific here, but I think this stuff's kind of cool. So the A is for alignment. You want your piece to be visually connected, and you can do that with columns. You can do that with 2-column, 3-column, etc. You want to have you want to make sure that your text is aligned. So you don't want your text to float mysteriously out in space. And one thing that we do on our website is if there's on our homepage, if there's a photo we want to use and it doesn't have a specific border, say we're using someone else's logo, we probably will actually put our own border on that photo. And you can do this in your ads. You can sometimes make your photos pop out a little bit more if you put a very thin border around it. And lastly is proximity. You want to group things together instead of having them sort of float out in the corners. So if you think about a newspaper ad, very often they'll reprint business cards, but that business card isn't actually telling you what to do. It's not giving you a direction. It's not grouping the pertinent information. So this is just something I think you'll find useful. Let's move on, and there's just so much to cover. So let's go on to the next item here, which is traditional advertising. If you've taken another one of these trainings with me, some of this information is repetitive, but not everything. So before we get into this traditional advertising and what it is, I know that designers are expensive. They're very expensive, especially if they're good. And so what we do here at Tree People is we really lucked out a couple of years ago. We had an intern who was a designer and looking to transition into the environmental field. So we were able to work with her and pay her for us, which was a very reasonable rate, and she made some templates for us. The problem, however, is that if you work with volunteer designers, is they'll often put you at the back of the line for their other projects, and they might not take you as seriously. So if you can afford it, hire the best designer you can and have them give you a bunch of templates, and then train your in-house staff, and that would probably be you. I know I'm one of the in-house staff here, and train those folks to use whether it's Microsoft Publisher or InDesign or whatever you can, so then you can actually have a bit more freedom and not have to always go back to your designers to make changes. So let's take a look at traditional advertising. We've got radio, outdoor, print, and television. So some of this is a little repetitive, so I'll skip through this pretty quick. So here's an ad that Tree People did a couple of years ago for our holiday tree dedications program. And we just created this, and then you read it out loud with a stopwatch in front of you. This is a 60-second ad. When I create PSAs that we send out to radio stations, I create a 15-second, a 30-second, and a 60-second ad. And I do that by reading it out loud and just removing as much of the information as I can without losing the integrity of the message. Sometimes, if you get really lucky and you can get in with one of the local radio stations, they will actually have one of their DJs record for you, which would be terrific. And we've had that happen with one of the rock and roll stations here. So it really pays to set up like an editorial meeting with some of the news staff or the disc jockeys, try to get them to come out to cover one of your events in one of their big, fancy vans, because they might actually have you on their morning show and they might actually run an ad for you for free. So it really pays to invest your time. So here's another form of advertising, outdoor advertising. And these images came from a campaign that we did a few years ago where everything was donated except for the printing costs for the billboards and the bus stops. So we decided to just go really radical and push ourselves out to the 20-something crowd. So here are the ads, and notice that CRAP design elements. You've got contrast, definitely. There's a lot of contrast and colors here. We've got repetition. Well, I don't know about repetition. Definitely there's some kind of breaks the alignment. It's all sort of aligned in the center. And then proximity. The things sort of move in a flow across the page, and then the bottom, everything is all in alignment at the bottom. Here's another one. Support the environment that supports you. And another one, time to dig deeper within yourself. And then the last one, this lip will really grow on you. We had a lot of fun with these, and we made postcards of these images that we handed out as well to help promote our campaign, which was to have our tree dedication program. All right, let's move on to the next one. So this is a print ad that we did. We actually had, I'm not doing anything. It's doing it on its own. There must be a ghost in my mouse. So again, you can notice the CRAP method. You've got two columns here, and then the repetition of colors in the images. We're really careful to always include our partner logos. It's very important, as we all know, to maintain great relations. So we always make sure we include other folks' logos, and photos are really, really important, as we all know. So here's another ad. This is another ad that we use for the LA Weekly, which is our big alternative paper here in Los Angeles. So you can see a lot of sort of the invisible grid here at the bottom and then at the side. And then whenever we use children, we actually had to Photoshop out Maggie's the school that she went to because we don't want kids to get in trouble with weirdos out there. So let's move on because I did cover some of this in another program that I did for you guys. So this is all new information for those of you who've listened to me rant on before. So using how do we promote our fundraisers and our donor activities? So Tree People is a membership-based nonprofit. We really want to encourage our $25 donors to work their way up to the donor ladder, if you will. So one way we do that is we have a big fundraiser every year. It's called An Evening Under the Harvest Moon, and we create a website, a special website for it that has its own look, its own feel, its own artwork. Of course, we have the Tree People logo here, but throughout the whole mini website, you've got all these colors and all these artwork repeating itself. So that's one thing that you guys can consider doing. Let's see what else we have here. This is something else we do. We use electronic invitations and evites, or what we call treevites. So the artwork on top, a volunteer actually did this for us. This person has their own evite. They actually use the evite free program that anyone can use for birthday parties or what have you. And they created their own artwork. They got approval from us because they used our logo. And then they had their event. It was like an informational talk about tree people, like a house party, if you will. The piece below our treevite, we were using vertical response, which is a program that allows you to send out electronic newsletters. So this was the banner that we had our intern create. And we used this template and we put in new photos so we could have other departments here send out their own treevite. We're right now in the process of moving from vertical response to exact target, which is another kind of e-newsletter system. And there's a lot of e-newsletters out there that you can choose from, and I'm sure that you'll find the right one for you. Exact Target works for us because of our new database. It's called Salesforce. I mean, more information than y'all need, but for those of you who are really into this stuff, you really want to research and find out the best program to suit your needs, and don't be afraid to send out emails. You just don't want to send out too many. So here's something else you can use to promote your work. At the bottom of your email, you can actually create a banner tag. So this is for the for Tree Bank, which you should probably all know about. Pepper Provenzano over in Utah has actually I think Canada's involved. So it's international program for you to do online donations, and Tree People is one of the participants. So Pepper created this, and it's at the bottom of his emails when he sends them out. And you can do that too, whatever it is that you want to send out to your members, donors, etc. It can be about this is drought season, watch out how much you're watering, or this is a great time to dedicate a tree, or we've got a big training coming up, or your big fundraiser, what have you. So here are some other things that we do to promote our planting, tree care, and forestry events. And I know we're starting to run out of time, so I'm going to wrap this up as quickly as I can. One thing that we do, because we really don't run a lot of ads here. We just have decided to not budget our money to go towards ads. Instead, we use our funds for banners. So here's a banner that we just created and we're using now. We're doing a big fruit tree giveaway program for underserved communities in Los Angeles. So we create these banners. We can keep using them. They have our logo, and you can see the alignment is, well, you've got the line in between, but on the right side is the center alignment. Here's something else we do. We're doing a big deforestation project out in the San Bernardino National Forest. So we created these rat cards. We printed 5,000 of them, and it's double-sided, and this is to promote our need to plant 35,000 seedlings in the next 10, 12 weeks. So well, it's actually from the end of February through May. So this is something else that could go on a countertop. It can go on a billboard, at a laundromat. You can take them to events. It's a really great way to promote your work. It can be a general way to promote who you are, but it can also be something more specific, like for this need. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on this. You can find online printers. I don't think they use recycled material, unfortunately, but you can get this for a few $100s. You can get some postcards, and they can be real great to hand out at events or to put at your organization. So here's another thing we do. We use a lot of flyers, and this is for this year's Fruit Tree program again. We also have a community greening workshop that we do every 2 months, and this is really interesting. When we decided to change how we offered these events, the spike in attendance was dramatic. We are now offering these events regionally instead of at our headquarters, which is kind of in the middle of the city, up in the mountains, really hard to get to. So when we broke out these workshops and put them in down at the harbor area and then out in the valley, closer to where people that we're trying to outreach to live, we now sometimes get 80 people registered. And we were kind of a joke for us. It used to be that we would have to stand out in front of, on Mulholland Drive in front of our headquarters and sort of flag people down to try to get them to come to our trainings. And now, in part because of the location, but also because we're doing a lot better job outreaching to the public and with our promotions, we're really excited about how well we're doing with these trainings. So as we're wrapping up here, I just want to encourage you all to use the new media. So that's use eVites, use YouTube, get on Facebook and MySpace if you're not already there. You can also do Google AdWords. Not that expensive. It's a way to promote your work. And also just going back one more moment to new media. And if you don't have anyone on staff who's interested in this, and if you are way overworked, which we all are, and can't get to this, consider bringing an intern in from one of the local colleges who's willing to set up your Facebook page or your MySpace page. And you don't necessarily want to give them full control because you have to govern your message and your brand, but please rely on others because there's no way that we can do it all ourselves. So don't forget about guerrilla marketing. That's your stickers, your postcards, your note cards, buttons, bumper stickers, all these things. Send your volunteers out and have them hand out stickers and put the postcards out there. People really want to make a difference. We just have to give them the tools to help promote who you are and what you do. And here's some online resources for you. Robin Williams is my favorite designer. She's got a number of non-designers books here, and she also has a whole slew of articles that you can read for free. Guerrilla Marketing, Jay Levinson, this is another great source. And then at the bottom, Fenton Communications, they are by far the best nonprofit PR firm out there. And so here's some information from them. That's it. Thanks for listening, you guys. And I'm so impressed with what the community forestry movement has done in this country, and we're really excited to be a part of that and to help raise the bar and how we look out in the world. So thanks.
Great, thanks, Lori. And I know if everyone's lines were open, they'd more than willingly give you a round of applause for doing not one but 4 of these sessions. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ashley, can you open the lines for questions, please?
Again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1. One moment, please, for your first question. And
again, participants are welcome to ask a question online, particularly if you would like to ask it anonymously, or if typing's just a little easier for you, welcome to go that way as well. One of the questions I had, I guess, that sort of picked up, I was wondering, was this intended to be a subliminal message? There was small text on those print ads that said, "Our work is groundbreaking." What's that all about?
I don't know. Let me go back. See. I'm sure that it was something that someone came up with and we wanted to throw in there. Let's see. Back.
I can know. Maybe that just,
Is it?
if you say it, people believe it.
Is it? I don't know where it is.
So it's four, that one,
This
and
one?
the other three, right under
yeah.
your logo.
Yeah, this was a campaign that we had a bunch of copywriters donate their time, and this is one of the tags. So as Jean was saying earlier, we have taglines that we use every year, every couple of years, and so this is one of them. Our work is groundbreaking. Everything that shows up in these ads is intentional, and hopefully we hit the mark with this one. And I would encourage you guys, use this. This isn't, we don't own our work is groundbreaking. Please use it if you like it, and let us know how it goes.
So it's not a coordinated subliminal message like "give us money."
No.
Yeah,
Well,
that's fine.
yeah. I mean, we hope, but we're sort of we really try to take a gentle approach. We first give us money. I think there's a lot of other nonprofits out there who are a lot better at that hard-hitting message of give us money.
So one of the questions that I always have when I look at your materials is I think that they just look so polished, and I think, gosh, I don't have the time to do that. And you talk a lot about getting college interns or volunteers or actually, paying top dollar to hire a firm. But how much time, and I know I come back to this over and over, how much time does it take to do, one nice print ad or one nice radio piece? And does it vary by, format?
Let's see. We've done radio. We do radio ads. So I'm just curious what would be most useful for everyone, radio or print? Well, we'll just talk about radio. So we have in our development, our development team. They're the ones who do the radio buys. So once you create your spot, we just kind of recycle it every year because we do radio ads twice a year. So we'll go in and maybe make a minor change. We have someone who helps us with our media buys. We never used to do that, and then we found someone who was a supporter who said, hey, let me see if I can get you some better rates. So one way that folks can rely on these volunteers is maybe just create a marketing committee, and you can do that by going to some of the local PR firms or even the Rotary clubs and say, who wants to sit on our marketing committee? This is what we need help with. So this person helped us get some good rates, and then radio is really easy. Just read it and see if you like it, and then you give it to them. But for print, it's kind of time-consuming only because, like for us, we really work by collaboration here, so we want to make sure we get a lot of people's input on it. But it's really not that time-consuming. You just have to find a designer that really works well with you and manages you, the client, because some designers, you really have to stay on top of them, and that's really a lot of work. If you have to keep asking them, can you send me this, can you send me that, and the information isn't how you want to receive it. So really the trick is finding a great designer who's willing to give you a great price as a nonprofit.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll definitely echo the point about interns from college helping with some of the new media things. We've had interns who were just flabbergasted that we're asking them basically to surf MySpace and Facebook all day and help set that up. So that worked out really well for us.
We did that here at Parks and People too. We're a little slow with the social, media, but we're catching up, and we have a couple of young, recent college grads on staff. And so I said, look, you guys do that. And they had a great time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Are either of y'all able to disclose what your budget is for marketing?
This is Lori. I don't have a budget personally. I just because of how we're doing things here now at Tree People, but we do. So I don't know how much we spend because we just every year it's a little different. But we do at least one banner a month, and we have but we don't run ads. So that's something I can tell you. Like we don't run ads except for our radio ads. I'm sorry to not have more information to share than that.
We probably, I'm looking at probably around $3,000 to $5,000 a year in printed materials, and those who serve a dual purpose of marketing, and those are also fundraising materials that we use. We use them for both. So it's not just. It's kind of hard for me to since I run both development and promotions, I don't really separate it out. But we probably set around probably about $1,500 in 2008 in buying print ads for special sales and things, like with the tree sales. And I think around the same amount on radio sponsorships.
Okay, thanks. Does the operator have any questions in queue?
I am showing no questions at this time.
Okay. Well, we will wrap it up with that then. We're always happy to get off early. I know people like to get back to their work. Everyone's busy. So with that, we will we'll say thank you to our presenters.
Thank you.
It's been a fantastic presentation. And again, thanks both to Jean and Lori, but thank you, Lori, for doing 4 of these sessions. We do always have people ask, and I do want to reiterate that the slides as well as the recorded session and resource list will be available within about a week of this session. So if you go back to the page on the Alliance for Community Trees website where you registered for this, and I'll send that link out again, but if you go back to that page, those will be available about a week from today. The last thing is we do always look for feedback on how we're doing and what's of interest to you. So if everyone's able to go out to this URL quickly, there are 4 questions, I think. It should take about 2 minutes and answer those questions. That's very helpful to us in programming these sessions. Otherwise, the next webcast is, as always, the 3rd Thursday of the month. It's February 19th, and it will be incorporating AmeriCorps and recent grads into your local programs. So with that, again, I want to thank Lori and Jean. I want to thank everyone who participated today and our sponsors, the Home Depot Foundation and the USDA Forest Service. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for participating in today's conference call. You may disconnect at this time.